People are paying thousands of dollars for us to do things to them that they don't need, they want it. So it really becomes a relationship. I mean, I would hang out with the large majority of my patients. That's one of the beautiful things of social media.
He was cheating. I knew it, but I didn't want to see it. I really didn't like it and I wasn't happy about it. I realized that the guy that I was living with, I knew something was wrong. The relationship needed to end. I'm so much happier. I'm in a much better relationship. My career is booming. I'm the happiest person and I'm your biggest fan. Wow, that was so much more than just Botox.
Okay, Dom, we're here again.
Ben, why are we here?
More
Why?
you, more me, more everybody. We're cutting the bullshit. We're getting to it. I don't want to dink around, Dom. This is the More You podcast. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out how to get more of everybody. That's what it's about.
Today's guests are just awesome. We are going to get all of you out there a ton of information about how to get more out of yourself. A little more focus on the aesthetic side. But Ben, it's going to be hot.
You know, I throw around the term rock star a lot, but these are two real rock stars. And of course, they're both aesthetic geniuses.
Agreed. Killer episodes. Do not miss. Keep listening. Big shout out to our sponsor, MD Hyperbaric. MD Hyperbaric is the leader in hyperbaric treatments. They have the real tanks with the real pressure, man. It's going to be like your scuba in the Caribbean. Getting all the pressure you need and all the recovery. Ben, what does it do?
Yeah, MD Hyperbaric. This is new. I mean, again, ties into the longevity space. MD Hyperbaric is I would say the one to go to if you're going to go to any. But hyperbaric chambers as a whole are really revolutionizing aesthetic treatments, but healing, recovery. We talked about the concussion stuff. That you get a sore joint, you break your hand. Anything you do, you can get in a hyperbaric chamber. So. And they're very reasonably priced. You would think this stuff's expensive. It's a couple $100 and you can you can take an hour dive. So MD Hyperbaric, check them out.
Yeah, and I just want to say all hyperbaric chambers are not created equal. You need the real deal that's going to create enough pressure that you're actually going to get all the positive effects, and that's what MD Hyperbaric has, and that's what they do. So make sure you check out MD Hyperbaric. I believe that's mdhyperbaric.com. And yeah, we'll see you in the chamber.
Check them out. The Doris Day.
Oh
That's
my
me.
gosh.
Just fixing my hair. Okay.
Dr. Doris Day. Doris, honestly, you couldn't look any better. It's
Oh,
a
thank you.
virtual impossibility to look better than how you always like. Everybody knows I got a crush on Doris. I'm going to put it right out to the world.
Now we know why, though.
Yeah,
You do
that's
know
my
why,
favorite
because
part.
Doris, my wife looks just like Doris.
It's a little creepy, really, to be
So
honest, but I guess
crazy.
it's also cool.
Dr. Doris Day is literally one of the most well-known dermatologists in North America. We wouldn't even have time in an hour to mention it. I think the thing that people don't know about Doris completely is that her sheer expertise is only matched by what a wonderful person she actually is. And what a lot of people don't know about Doris is she knows so much more about everything than just aesthetics. And we're gonna jump right into that. But we're literally talking to one of the greatest dermatologists literally in North America, the world. Ben, help
I
me
would
out here.
definitely go world, and
Say
we don't even
world.
know if there's
Let's
other
go world.
universes out there. I mean, why cut it short? Let's
I
see.
think
Let's
the
somebody.
interview needs to end now. I mean, how, I don't even know what I could say. This is so sweet. I'm like here for all of it, but I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Doris, I just, if we can start out, I mean, there's so many things we want to cover with you. So many things. But I actually want to start a little different if we can with you. In what do you feel is the greatest thing that you're offering people that's really giving them more of themselves? Because that's actually what this is all about.
I think it's really hope. It's helping them see that they have beauty, they have potential, they have access to all the things that they want in their life. My goal as a physician, and aesthetics and dermatology is sort of my segue to my patients, but my hope is to reach them at their core. So my hope is to understand why they're here, what they're hoping to achieve. We talk about so much. I mean, I had a patient who came in who gorgeous wife was a supermodel and they were so in love and they have a baby, and then now everything's about the baby. The wife co-sleeps with the baby, she does everything for the baby, and he kind of misses his wife. So he's been looking to like try to extract her from the kid. And the kid is gorgeous, by the way, as well. So we had all these conversations while I'm doing his Botox. And I gave him all these ideas of how they could have some time away and time together. And he's like, she's not buying it. She's not buying it. So at the end, I said, I have an idea. Why don't you do more daddy-daughter things? Why don't you just spend and do things and let her get a break, but really bond with the baby, and then she'll come into that. And why don't you just lean into it? And it was, I don't know if it was the poking that kind of woke him up, or the conversation of like trying it that way. It's not working. Why don't we go the other way? And at the end of it, it was like it was his idea. He's like, I could see the wheels spinning in his head of all the things he was going to do with the kid. And he's going to give up the fight of trying to reclaim his wife and walk into this family that he had created that was so beautiful, that he loved so much, but that he was not connecting with the way that he should. And it was becoming a problem. And then all of a sudden he left. He goes, wow, that was so much more than just Botox.
You-
And it was mirror what he really wanted, right? He wanted this family and he was so happy, but he had a hard time separating from his other life. So I always feel like when people come in, there's more to why they're there. And sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's just do the treatment and go. But many times people have stories, and these little conversations make such a big difference. And it's fun for me, it's fun for them, and hopefully it has a lasting impact.
Doris, that's your new slogan. More than just Botox. I mean, it's beautiful. It's so, I tell patients this, people are paying thousands of dollars for us to do things to them that they don't need, they want it. So it really becomes a relationship. I mean, I would hang out with the large majority of my patients. I can't, and that's one of the beautiful things of social media. Like, I definitely turn off a certain number of the world with my social media. But most of the people, they come to me because they kind of like, this guy's a little bit edgy. He's a little bit, and boom. So it's a really good point. But more than Botox, I like it. Or like more than just cosmetics, something like that.
It is. And then I have one other story that kind of goes along that. I had a patient who came in, and she was a new patient, and she had a rash around her eyes. And we had a whole conversation, but she wasn't making eye contact. There wasn't anything wrong with her, but she wasn't like really just looking up at me as we were talking through things. And I said, oh, and this was the first time she ever had the rash. It was persistent. She tried all these different things. So I said, okay, well, I have an idea. We can try these medicines, but I'm not analyzing you. I don't know you. I'm just meeting you. But my impression, just from our interaction and the way this rash looks, is that there's something that either you don't want to see or you don't want someone else to see about you. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know if that's true, but it's something to think about. Try these medicines. I hope it makes it better, but I want it to last. I don't want this to help and have you be dependent on this. So it's something to think about. Well, she comes back a year later for a skin check, and she says, what you said to me last year was really tough for me to hear. I really didn't like it, and I wasn't happy about it. But she was back, right? So I said, well, I'm sorry. I was just trying to help and have an impact. And she said, but I realized that the guy that I was living with, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want to see it. After that, I talked to him about it, and he was cheating. The relationship needed to end. I'm so much happier. I'm in a much better relationship. My career is booming. I'm the happiest person, and I'm your biggest fan.
Doris, anybody who knows you and is out there and sees you knows that you know pretty much everything and anything when it comes to aesthetics. Where is aesthetics going? Is what I really want to know, and I think probably Ben wants to hear from you too on like where do you think this is going in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think that it's going into longevity. I think we're going to change our focus away from pure fill to or chasing lines or freezing expression to the idea of like, why are we doing any of it? And we're doing it because we want to live healthier for longer, and we're learning that we can do this even through the skin. And I've worked on a new molecule that's an analog of rapamycin. And rapamycin is a drug that was FDA approved for people who had kidney transplant rejection to help prevent the rejection. But it has all these other properties, and it's kind of made its way into the longevity field. But the problem is if you put it on the skin, it actually causes barrier breakdown. But there's analogs of it. So there's modifications you can make that help it only block part of that the pathway. What rapamycin does is it blocks this molecule that every cell has called mTOR. And mTOR affects two different pathways. One is cell turnover and one is cell repair. So this molecule is evolutionarily preserved, which means it's the same in yeast and fruit flies and our dogs and our pets and every creature as it is in us. And it does the exact same thing. So something that is so evolutionarily preserved is essential for life. That means there's no life without this molecule. You need it when you're young to grow and to develop, and then you need it when you're fertile for the egg development. But as we get older, evolution doesn't really care what happens to us. Evolutionarily, we're dispensable. We've raised our kids. They're now independent. They can go make more kids. So mTOR, as we age, has no evolutionary advantage to continue to self-regulate, and it becomes dysfunctional. And especially in women around perimenopause and menopause, as it becomes dysfunctional, what you see is collagen breakdown, increased senescence, or zombie cells of the skin. Because one of the things that happens is that when you get decades of UV exposure and stress and pollution, all these things, and then we do lasers and treatments on top of it, what we're doing is we're taking those fibroblasts, the cells that make collagen, elastin, and all the elements that give your skin firmness and that youthfulness. Those fibroblasts are overproducing. They're being hyperstimulated because they're having to keep making collagen. And that hyperstimulation will last a while. But when you run marathons and marathons after marathon and you don't rest, what happens? You get exhausted, right? So these fibroblasts that are making the collagen, helping your skin stay firm, they get exhausted, they go into senescence, they get depleted, and your stem cells have to send up more. But your stem cell reserves run out. And that's around perimenopause and menopause. So you do all these treatments and you're using your retinol, but you're finding your skin doesn't respond in the same way. So if we can affect mTOR, where we can slow down that turnover but improve the repair, now those fibroblasts will produce collagen for longer. They'll stay healthier for longer, and that's going to allow your skin to stay youthful for longer. So that process now can be done in a serum through the skin so that we can continue to use these products. And what we did was we took skin and we treated it with this molecule and with retinol. And we took 56-year-old fibroblasts and reverted them back to 23-year-old fibroblasts functionally. So it was amazing. But then what we did was we said, okay, maybe it's just the retinol. So then we just treated the same cells with just retinol. They made collagen, but they had increased cell senescence. The fibroblasts got exhausted and depleted. So retinol, as you get older, you have to be careful. That's why I go from retinoic acid to non-prescription retinols as women age. And now when I combine it with this RLX-201, I feel that not only am I helping those fibroblasts stay better for longer, but they're actually going to be able to make better collagen. So I use this around treatments. I have patients do it with their skincare and their other anti-aging products. But I think longevity is a big deal. And the other thing that's going to trend that I think will make a big difference that I'm most excited about is that we're making more of a connection of our different organ systems. And we're understanding that your skin and your gut are connected. Your skin and your brain are connected. I don't know about you, Ben, but when I was starting in residency and early in my career, we always said, it's just skin. If you feel that food is making you break out, then don't eat those foods. But it's not the food, it's your skin. Now it's the opposite. Now we
Yeah.
know what you put in your body and your gut and the microbes in your skin and your gut actually affect how your skin looks and ages and heals and recovers. And we're paying more attention to that. So I focus a lot on diet. I focus a lot on mindset. I focus a lot on meditation. That a meditation is 5 minutes. It's just closing your eyes and having a mantra. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be hours of sitting there going, Om. Humming is good though, but you don't have to do that. It's a few minutes here and there. So it's quality sleep, it's social circles. So if you want beautiful skin, it's all those things. And then it's a few supplements. It's resistance training and weightlifting and walking and cardio. All of that shows in your skin. There's studies that show that resistance training improves collagen in your skin. So
Yep.
it's that longevity and the connection of the skin to the body, and your skin affects your aging. It doesn't just reflect it.
I heard it on another podcast. I think it was Peter Attia, and somebody asked him, what percentage of the information about the human body do you think we know currently? And it's probably like 10%, like as or less, right? As we learn so much more. It's like you go back to the early 1900s, people were smoking in the OR. I mean, we didn't even know about bacteria. We just were cutting people open with our hands. So I think we're gonna, and it seems to be, whether it be with AI or what, I don't know, that we're gonna learn a lot relatively quickly, in the next 5, 10 years. I think that, of course, the industries are going to turn into big bucks for the cosmetic world.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, Botox didn't get FDA approved till the early 2000s. We're still in the infancy of
Yeah.
understanding how the fillers work and what they really do,
Hmm.
and all the different ways we can use it. And I think in a way it's kind of cool because we're getting better at it. We're learning not just product selection, but delivery, whether you use a needle or a cannula, what plane of the skin you're in, what the rheology or what the qualities are of each different filler that you use. And not only how they look when you put them in, but how they look as they naturally degrade in your skin. So we're understanding lifestyle of these products and how they play with devices and other things we do. So there's so much that we're still learning. We're still learning anatomy. Like, for all
Yeah.
that anatomy was tough for me then, that's basic. We're still understanding how the structure of the face changes in time
100%.
in ways, and you would think, what is there to learn about anatomy? You dissect a face or a body and you know everything. But no, it's actually not that simple. There's
Hmm.
so much to it that we're still figuring out in muscle movements and facial expressions, and also about what we communicate and how we change that when we do these treatments. So
Hmm.
we take all of this into account, and I think it's super, super exciting, but we have to be careful when we take care of patients to really get to know them and to help them address what matters to them, not just say, that line bothers you, I can fill that line, here we go, and then goodbye.
Doris, with that, I had 100 questions on everything you had said, but I think I'm going to skip it because I think this is something that I think people would really want to hear. There is a huge spectrum when it comes to expertise of aesthetics out there right now. You have injectors out there that have taken a weekend course and they're out there injecting. That's one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is someone like yourself that's world class, who spent so much time studying this and trying this and speaking about it and doing all these different things. What should patients be looking for? Questions they should be asking when they walk in to know if they're in a place that's going to give them a great outcome?
Well, I think one thing is to make sure you have a conversation before you do anything. So it's not, I mean, I've had people come in and they say, well, I went someplace else and I just said I want this and they just did this. So, I mean, that's not, to me, the patient isn't the expert, right? They can tell you what they see, but if a patient says, I have lines here, they're not necessarily saying get rid of the lines. They're saying, I look tired. Or if
Hmm.
they say have lines here, they say I look sad. But they don't say I look sad. They go, I don't like these lines, or I'm jowling. And it's, what does that convey? And so I always say you have to understand the line and treat the source. You don't just chase the line. And if
Hmm.
you see somebody who just says, you don't like this, I'll fix that, that's not necessarily going to give you what you want for an outcome. I'm not saying you don't address it, but I'm saying that's not where you start. You start by understanding it and then helping the person see, and you have to share a vision. So if you're going to a place, and I mean, one thing you should never do is price shop, because if you go to a place and you go, well, this one does it for this and this does it for that, you're not buying a product, you're buying an experience and an outcome. And that is so important. Even the extended staff, like every member in that office, should make you feel welcome and heard and understood. And I think that it's not even just the person doing the treatment, it's who is with them in the office and what support are you getting besides just even the doctor or the person doing the treatment. So there's so many cues to pay attention to, but I would say have a conversation, make sure that you share a vision with the person who's doing the treatment, and then if you don't feel that's the case, be okay with walking away. Just advocate for yourself. You're better off paying but not getting something done wrong than just saying, I'm here and I don't want someone else to feel bad, or I feel like I'm here, so I have to do it. And then do something that you will regret later. Because even in things that we say are reversible or dissolvable, it's not always that easy. And why go there?
I was going to get to it. Surgically, I see it so often. So many people go, they went to a doctor. They said, I want chin lipo. He did chin lipo, but that's not what was bothering them. So it's like, when does it bother you? Why does it bother you? Show me a photo when it's bothering you. Oh, no, it's not the fat. You're skinny. It's the skin or you lack of bone structure. So it really is the key. When people just, it's not a cookie cutter approach to anybody, but when they go in and they just do what you say, it's a little bit concerning almost, you know. I think, yeah, it's
So to
good insight.
summarize, sorry to summarize what you both are saying, which I think is really important for people to kind of be able to crystallize this, is that you, as the patient, should be coming in and saying, this is how I'm feeling. But as the doctor, it's really for you to decipher, look, this is indeed the issue, and this is how we're actually going to approach that issue. Is that fair?
Yeah, and you can point to it that this is making me feel this way, but it's not saying, you're not telling the doctor what to do.
Mhm.
You're telling them how you're feeling and what you think is making you look and connect with that feeling. But then the doctor can help you with a holistic approach. And really, it's important to understand that when we look at ourselves, we go to a thing. We go to our eyes or the
Mhm.
lines or the jowls or the whatever. But when you look at someone else, you look at their whole face. You don't look at them and go jowls or lines or eyes. You say, you take a person in a more complete way.
It's very important. This is how I explain it to patients. That's really, I think, what happens with these horrible outcomes. Somebody's going in there and say, I don't like this fold. They just keep filling it. They fill it. The fold's gone. But then you look at them from afar and you're like, what the hell is that person?
Right.
And it's what happens. And I don't even blame the injector or whomever particularly. It's just like they did what the patient said. They just don't have that experience. So that's the precipice of really bad outcomes, is somebody treating like one thing and not treating the whole face or the whole body or the whole issue. So it's a really good
Well,
point.
you're nicer than me because I do blame them. But I also,
It's either
um,
stupid or nefarious is what I say. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're stupid. So I guess I blame them in a way, but you seem way too happy and way too chill, Doris, to not have a secret code to that program that I'm obviously still learning.
well, I think that Dominic and I had a talk a while ago, and we were talking about work life balance. And I said, it's all life. There's no work life balance, it's all life. And I was lucky because even with everything I went through in med school, I still managed to get married and have a kid in med school on top of it. And then I had my second one after during my internship at Bellevue, and never missed a day of work or school. And I I think I had really good support. My parents live in my building. They did so much to raise my kids. My husband was already established in his career, so he had a little bit more flexibility. And some things I missed. I mean, I was working 100-hour weeks, and I was building a practice. Once I did two residencies and research in between. So and then I worked to build a practice from no patients to where I am today. So there was a lot that went into it. But you know what? My daughter is now a dermatology resident. My son lives in my building, and his wife is a dermatology resident, and we see them all the time. So they didn't suffer for it. But I used to go and sit in their room with them when they studied, and I would study too. And I would say, "You're growing, I'm growing. We're all studying together." So they had me around a lot. And then I think the biggest thing for me was learning to compartmentalize, so that I would say, if I'm at work, I'm at work. If the kids call, of course I'm going to answer, my husband. But otherwise, when I'm at work, I'm at work. And when I come home, I'm home. And I would just try to be present wherever I was, fully present wherever I was, and not think like I'm missing a meeting or I'm missing an event. Like wherever I was the right place to be. And I always thought, if I'm not there, it can't be that much fun. So I would.
I like that.
What is Doris Day like at home? I just wanna know. I've never asked you that question, and by the way, like, full Disclosure, like I try to spend as much time with Doris as I can. Like when I come to New York City, I'm always at least a dinner or a meetup with Doris, and I enjoy it so much. But I don't know what Doris is like at home, and I just want to know, what do you like at home? I mean, are you in jammies as fast as you can
Oh,
when you come home? Like I know you got your
yeah.
dogs. Like tell us about that.
I am out of my outfit and in my house clothes, my pajamas, as fast as I can get into them, and I'm just chill. I am my own best audience for my jokes. So I'm a comedian and I crack myself up mostly. Other people are mostly laughing at how hard I laugh at my own jokes, but I I love to read, so I'll come home and I'll read a book. I'm a pretty avid reader, and so I love to sit back and read. I'll watch the news a little bit. I usually skip dinner, so I'm not a big dinner eater, and I'm training my husband to be the same, but he'll just grab something. But we're not big foodies in my house. We like good food, but we live in New York and we rarely go out to dinner unless we have a reason to go out to dinner. But food isn't really so much our thing. It's more um, just sitting, hanging out, and really having quiet time. My days are overstimulated. I'm like
Mhm.
100% there. So
Mm.
I really, even when I go to meetings, I almost never go out to the dinners, and neither of us really drink. So we don't, I mean, we don't drink at home at all, and rarely have a drink when we go out. It's just not our thing. So and we're very in sync. We're both in bed by 9 o'clock and usually out by 9:30 and up by about 4:30 or 5. So we're early birds and super chill and quiet. But we match in that, so we get along really well.
I love that.
I like it. What's up
And
with
I
the 4:30? What are you doing at 4:30, Doris?
4:30, I get up. I first do Wordle and then spelling bee. I give myself 15 minutes, and then I will get up, make my coffee, and while I'm making my coffee, I'll do exercise. So I'll do squats and some just get myself warmed up exercise. So I have some uh, paths on my Instagram that I've saved that are little 3-minute workouts. So I'll
Yeah.
do 4 or 5 of those. So I get a couple in. So by the time my French press is done and my basic breakfast is done, I'll usually eat around 6:30. So I'll just make all that, do my little workout, get through emails, answer things that I need to answer. But it's my quiet, get things done time, and I
Oh,
get
that's the
the
best.
workout in
With a
before.
nice cup of coffee. That's my favorite part of the day as well.
It's the best. And
Yeah.
by the time I get to 7 o'clock and I'm ready to get ready for work and leave, I've gotten so much off my plate already. It's just a power morning that
Yeah.
I've gotten some workout in, and then we both walk to work together every day. So it's
Oh,
about
nice.
2.5 miles walk. So we walk, and we can start walking and then disagree on something and going, "Eh." And by the time we get to 42nd Street, so we're on 33rd, and hit Grand Central, that's behind. And then we get to, like, I don't know what happens, but the conversation just changes to agreement to, like, oh, we solved all the world's problems by now. Like our problems, the world's problems, the kids' problems, like who's doing what are we doing for Thanksgiving, who's going where, what's the holiday coming up, what are we doing for the weekend? I don't know. Everything gets figured out.
You do that in January, February too.
We do it every day. Oh yeah,
Okay.
unless it's pouring rain
Yeah,
or
yeah,
the
of
snow
course,
is
of
too
course.
bad. But otherwise, yeah, actually when I walk in the winter, I'll wear a weighted vest. In the summer, it's too hot. But
Yeah.
when you walk, you warm up. So
Oh yeah, big time.
you put on a coat, you get warm, and you walk. It's a really fun walk. I
Mhm.
walk through Grand Central Terminal every day, twice a day, like a tourist, going, "Wow, this is so cool! Look at the clock. Look at the
Yeah.
chandelier." Like you can't get tired of the city. That
Yeah.
everywhere you walk by the Chrysler Building, it's iconic. The Grand Central, Park Avenue, every building has a story. So the Waldorf Astoria was just redone. Chase Building
Mm,
just went up. I watched the whole thing get built.
that's
So
cool.
it's a really cool city. It's fun. It's never a dull moment, and the people are so entertaining. Just people watching.
Doris, you speaking about it being entertaining, you've become such a brand. We love talking about this part of it, which is, was that intentional? Did it just start happening?
It happened, well, I think in a way I was lucky that early in my career, I mean, I've never had PR. I don't have PR now, but nobody had PR at the time. And these products were all new in terms of Botox and some other things, and even product launches. So in the late 90s, when I opened my office, I figured that websites were helpful, and most people didn't have a website. So I created a website called myclearskin.com, and then I went to register.com and I registered it, and then I learned HTML and I just made a website. So I had a basic website with like some pictures and some content, and I figured I would have that. So that website, because nobody had one, became a calling card apparently,
Hmm.
and different PR companies started to find me, but I never hired the PR company. They would pitch me for their product to TV or to speak for companies. So Dove invited me to help launch a new product, which I didn't even talk about the product. I just talked about the skin, but it was Anguilla. They invited me to Anguilla with all the senior beauty editors on a chartered plane. And I was like, and they paid me to go. And I was like, okay, I could do this. And then Botox or somebody was just bringing out Botox. So they pitched me to a TV show like Good Morning America. And then I showed up. I talk in sound bites. I kept it tight. I was a journalist, so I could speak
Mhm.
English. I could
That's
translate
pretty
Chinese.
important. That's a pretty important
Came in handy.
little,
Good skill.
yeah.
Yeah, so then you show up, you make their job easy, they're going to call you back. So they kept calling me back. And then the producer goes
Mhm.
from one show to another, and they said, oh, I like working with her at this show. I'm going to use her on this
Yeah.
show. So then you get to all the other shows. So now I'm in the magazines and I'm on the TV show because nobody else was there. Only 30% of my class in med school were women. There weren't a lot of women at the time, and
Yeah.
they didn't like the women. Like, I mean, I told you the hard part about anatomy, but my neuroanatomy professor, when I went to ask questions because I wanted to make sure that I got through all this stuff, before I left the room in med school, I'm going back from it and then I'll go forward again. As I'm getting ready to leave, closes the door. And I thought that was odd, but okay. And then as I'm getting ready to leave, he comes around the desk, grabs me, pulls me, and attacks me.
Oh
And
my gosh.
and
Jesus.
I had a hard time getting away, but I did. And here I am, not necessarily in the best of graces, being assaulted by my professor. And it wasn't, I mean, he attacked me, pulls me in to kiss me, and has his hands on me. This is not subtle. So,
Jeez.
and I'm not, and I'm in sweats. I have no makeup on. There's nothing about me that's girly, or, I mean, not that it would matter, but I wasn't. I was like, I wanted to make sure that I got every remedial offering that I could, and that was free. And I got through neuroanatomy perfectly. It was fine. But when we had our exams, you go from table to table and you have like the brain dissections with tags, and you have a question, you have a minute to answer the question. And he was a proctor, and he would just stand there and glare at me the whole time.
Oh my
So
God.
neuroanatomy was fine. It's actually one of my favorite organs is the brain. I loved neuroanatomy. I loved neurology. But when I passed the course, you can't complain because you're a woman and everybody ahead of you is a man. So it's not just that 30% of my
Yeah.
class are women, but the professors are men, the deans are men. The whole culture is different. And I didn't care. It didn't bother me, but I figured I can't just let this go. So I just wrote a letter with what happened and the dates, and I gave it to the dean sealed, and I said, I'm not filing a complaint. I just want this in his file so the next time it happens, it's not the first time. And I gave him the letter and I left. And that
Hmm.
was the end of it. And then every time anything happened, all I did was I was the first to show up. I was the last to leave. I was the first to volunteer for any surgery, any procedure, anything. I had all the answers. There was nothing they could say, and I was just fine. But my thing was in everything that complaining doesn't help, fighting it doesn't help. Just be better than them. Just
Mhm.
know more. Be better. They can't say anything. And then when it comes to the TV shows, it was show up, answer the questions, be succinct, and be accessible, and just keep going. And then as the field got more crowded, I was already a little bit ahead, but now it's much more. I mean, now we have so much more. TV is nothing. We have social media, we have all of these different venues. But it was really interesting getting through those times. And I guess my point about telling you that story was that when I started my career, there weren't so many women, even in dermatology. That's grown
Mhm.
so much over the years. So to be a woman in dermatology, especially when you're talking about aesthetics, made me sort of a commodity. And the women
Mhm.
that were there weren't necessarily comfortable with the social side, right? With the TV side. They liked it, but they weren't necessarily comfortable and they didn't know how to prepare and didn't buy into it. So a lot of these companies like the Botox, like Allergan that wanted me to do TV shows, I was never paid, and it was never a commercial. It was just like, we have an expert we can pitch to you who can talk about things.
Yeah.
But they would media train me. So I ended up being media trained like 50,000 times on top of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you're the early influencer. I mean,
Well, she
that's really
was.
the truth of it.
100%.
Yeah.
We like to ask this every show. So if you would humor us, we would really appreciate this. Is there a particular treatment product out there, right? A device, any of those things that you feel is just magic, that you feel is incredible and people should know about it and should be going after this?
I will say the one that patients come back and say over and over, this really works from me and my office has been SoftWave.
Hmm.
And SoftWave is ultrasound, so it's not doesn't sound so novel, but it's the delivery and it's synchronous parallel layers of ultrasound. And there's something about the way this energy is delivered in those parallel layers to the skin that improves skin quality and gives a lifting, tightening effect, but also because it's improving the skin quality and everything I said about those fibroblasts, it's helping them produce better collagen. My young patients tell me that their skin looks better. My older patients come back and want to do it again, even though it's a little bit uncomfortable in some spots. But it's something that has been consistently effective in my office. And we have two of them, and they're basically in use all the time. And it makes every other treatment I do work better. It doesn't interfere with fillers, doesn't cause scarring or fibrosis under the skin, doesn't cause fat melting. And I think it just helps the aging process. And I just saw something where Jennifer Aniston just said she had it, and it was like the best thing she did. Brian Johnson, who's like a guru of anti-aging, his thing is don't die. Said of the all the things that he's done, SoftWave is at the top of the list. So the thing for me is that confidence thing you were talking about before. I don't confidently say of anything like, "Oh my God, this is the best. You're gonna love this." But when people come back consistently and they tell me, "I am so happy I did this. My friends want to know what I did. I want to do this again. I see the difference." It's not 100%. Nothing is 100%, but I'm careful with patient selection for this, and the patients that do it are consistently uniformly happy with the results. So I think it makes everything I do look better. And I think if they're going to have a facelift, it makes a facelift outcome better because their skin quality is better.
The next favorite question is the other side of that. What do you think is out there that is just absolute bullshit?
Well, I was kind of going to give the same answer that fillers are dangerous and that they make surgery more difficult.
Well,
So we kind
that in
of talked
itself
about
is
both
bullshit.
sides.
We could do a whole episode on this. It gets to be kind of nerdy now when we talk about it, but it's essentially fear mongering. It's the people that don't do this non surgical stuff. They're trying to discourage people from doing it, is in my mind. But yeah, I think um, we talked about it with Katie a little bit. My answer is always like these fillers can be done really well, but they can also be done really poorly. So, obviously the poorly done ones are sexy to look at on Instagram because it looks odd. So it gets a lot of, you look at that, the algorithm likes you to look at that for 5 seconds instead of the 2 seconds. But yeah, I think that's an important point.
Doris, we want to get you to your pajamas as
Yeah.
quickly as possible. We just can't thank you enough. I think for doing this. We want to have a part two. I think on this for sure because we didn't get into one of your big passions, which is hormones and
Yeah.
those type of things. So we really would look forward to bringing you back. But we love that you're here with us.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. This was great. I feel like we covered so much and I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you for having
Well,
me.
hopefully we asked you some new stuff too, right?
Totally. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
You're a rock star.
good stuff.